So I would argue personally that reading is one of the most important skills that you need to have, period. Like, there's no competition. If you're not reading, you're actively saying, no, I will not continue to improve my life. The correct books changes you so much in a very positive manner. So if you read a book about relationships, you'll improve on relationships. Productivity, you improve on productivity. How to be a man, so on and so forth. Reading makes your learning ability and understanding of the concepts that you want to understand so much easier. And me personally, there were 3 books that without them, there are specific things that may not happen, or ideas that I don't understand, or principles that I don't follow through. So I actually wanted to go through them with you, so that if you need some literature to go through to better understand yourself, or to pick up a book to learn more about a concept you may not be fully aware of, I would like to go over those because these books are very near and dear to my heart. So the first book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the reason this book is so important, not actually the fact of what's in it, although what's in it is pretty damn good, it's actually the fact that this was the first book I ever read on my self-help personal development journey. My first one. You always remember your first book, and I always remember this one. And this is probably one that was very helpful at the beginning for me because I didn't have like really good habits, and I knew what my bad habits were. So I was able to figure out what they were, how to plan around them, and slowly over time, I still use what's in here to add new habits, remove bad habits. So this book, without it, I'm not here talking to you about the best books that's, saved me and changed me from self-improvement. This book, if you haven't read it, it's basically about habits, how to improve them, how to analyze your bad ones and slowly change them so they become good, or how to just remove bad habits in general. So this book, if you haven't read it yet, it's definitely worth reading. I'm also going to shout out another habit book that I read. It was The Power of Habit by, I think it was Robert Duhigg. That one was also a very good book on habits. Gives you another perspective, another idea on it. And it's also very much a worthwhile read. But this one was my first one. And every time I see it, I'm like, so long ago. Because I haven't read it since, because I'm not at this level anymore. Because something you should know about personal development, there's levels to it. So let's say you're starting brand new. This book is probably fantastic for you. If you're where I'm at, you probably don't need this anymore because you have already internalized it. You already understand habits and you know what causes one, what you need to break one. So I don't need this book anymore, but I still keep it because it reminds me of how far I've come, where it's like, damn, this book I don't need anymore, which is awesome to think about, So Atomic Habits, definitely worth getting. It's a very good book, and I would definitely recommend picking a copy of it because it's a great book. Now, the second book that changed me, actually, was, and still is, the book that I have read over and over and over again, and it is The Way of the Superior Man by David Dido. This book, if you're a man like myself, you must read this book to understand what it means to truly be a man. Now, when I say man, I don't just mean the ones who want to be, the masculine, dominant man. If you're more of a feminine man, it also talks about that as well in this book. So you can also take away something if you're not, the dominant one in your relationship. It's still a good book for you, but I'm not going to talk about that specifically. When I was getting a bit further along in my journey, this book was recommended over and over and over. And then I finally bought the copy, and then I understood. The first chapter is literally just stop hoping for things to get better. And then I was like, oh, we're going deep right off the bat, huh? That's great. And it just kept going on and on, just hitting you over and over with some of the best points. This book, if there's any of the 3 books that I'm going to show you, this is the one you should 100% pick up It is such a worthwhile book. It is such an easy read too. The chapters are really short, but they hit home really hard. So if there's any book that you need to read, it's definitely this one. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're at the beginning where I'm at, even if you're ahead of me in a relationship, you're married, you still need to be reading this so you understand what it is to be a man, a dominant man in the relationship. You need to understand that, because the second that you lose that urge, that desire, the need to grow as a man, you aren't a man anymore. If you want to improve and have a much better mindset, this is honestly the book. If you need a book to read, genuinely, this book is fantastic. I would 100,000% recommend you reading this. If you're getting started on self-improvement, been on it for a while, or you're ahead of me, you need to read this book to understand what it is to be a man, because is a good one. And finally, the third book, I had a bit of trouble deciding which one to choose actually, because there's a couple honorable mentions. Burn the Boats by Matt Higgins was a fantastic book on focusing on plan A, screwing plan B. Love that concept, but I might have to reread it again just so I could fully internalize everything, because that's definitely a book that deserves a reread. I could have gone with Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, because that was probably the best financial book that I personally read and got me set on the right track, so I understand investing and all that good stuff a lot more. Without it, I'm probably not doing like Roth stuff, ETFs and all that crap. I'm not doing that now. So that's definitely a book worth reading if you would like to learn more about investing. Money Master the Game and Burn the Boats is more for business. So if you're not a business guy or entrepreneur guy, it's not going to really help, but they are definitely worth reading. With that being said, the third most important book, I actually do have a copy of it, was on Audible. It's not really reading. Anyway, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book I have to reread again, because the last time I read it, I kept one thing like internalized, and it was the idea of just smiling. Just smile. That's it. That's the one concept I remember wholeheartedly. If you use this is, I would argue, this is the nice version of 48 Laws of Power, in my opinion. 48 Laws of Power is a fantastic book and would also be an honorable mention. It's by Robert Greene. If you use it, you're an asshole. If you're using it for your own personal gain 24/7 to manipulate others, use others, and then throw them out, that is incorrect. That is not why you should be using 48 Laws, which is why this book is better in my opinion, because it just tells you this is how you make friends, this is how you get people to do stuff for you, but in a nice manner. Listen to them intently. Eventually they'll go, so what do you need? It's like, oh, you know, so forth and so forth. This book, absolutely worth reading. If you're struggling with meeting new people or getting, let's say you're in a work environment and you're getting people to do stuff for you because you're the boss and your workers, this is definitely a book to read. You know, this book, I would argue, is probably the one that I need to read the most right now. I'm trying to improve cold approaching women. I'm trying to make more friends now. I'm trying to do a lot more to put myself out there, because I've been hidden for like the past 2-3 years. Like I haven't really talked to too many people. This is like the year where I've really started to talk to people. So I'm gonna definitely be putting this on the reading list if I get through my June 2024 list, which I'll link. This was probably the next book that gets read, just because I need to reread this again, because I would love to know what to do. So yeah, those are the 3 books. Way of the Superior Man by David Dida, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. These are the 3 books. If you need any idea or you need a start on your self-improvement journey, those 3 are the ones. 100%. They cover vastly different topics that are so important to your development. If you're, a man like myself, super important as a man. But if you're a woman, those are also fantastic books. Way of the Superior Man, you understand the mentality of a man, so you kind of figure out, what they want to do, why they're doing it, their purpose and all that stuff. You understand it. So it's definitely a worthwhile read for women as well. And How to Win Friends and Influence People, same thing. Atomic Habits, same thing. They're all fantastic reads. So with that, that's what I'm in this video. And if you want to join my program, there's a link in the description for a coaching sales call to see if we're going to be compatible.